Hey guys, welcome to Marketing Monday. I'm not usually the person who does this, but I wanted to have this conversation with Sean Ochester with Sage Age Strategies. We are going to talk ultimately about how to generate more leads from your website. I had a conversation with Sean about, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks ago, and my big question to him was, do these sort of third-party add-ons like chat bots and other interactive kinds of things, do they actually do any good? But before we get started, let's take do this. Well, Sean, welcome.
Thank you,
Happy
Steve.
Monday.
Happy Monday. So hopefully you had a great 4th of July as well.
I did. I actually went to Yosemite for really just a drive through with the day. I had two dogs, and it's not a super dog friendly place. And of course, there were way too many people but the waterfalls were just spectacular. So it was a good adventure.
Very nice. So,
So let's actually talk about who you are and what you do, and then we're going to jump into this whole third party tool thing.
no problem. So, Sean Ochester, I'm the Executive Vice President of Digital and Integrated Marketing at Sage Age. Sage Age, as many of people know us as, we're a senior living marketing agency that focuses and helps boost lead generation, sales, and occupancy for senior living communities across the United States. I've been with Sage Age for 7 years now. Before that, I was with another marketing firm that is no longer around at this time.
And I will tell you that every time I've got questions about the web stuff, Sean's the number one person I go to. He's one of maybe the smartest person I know who really understands this space and what works and what doesn't. So there are a ton of companies out there right now, Sean, and we'll just start right into this question that are sort of adding, creating sort of value added. The promise is that I guess mostly, and maybe we should start with this question is what exactly is the promise? My understanding is typically it's not so much that they're going to drive traffic to your web, more traffic, but that they will allow you to turn more of your visitors into real live prospects.
Right. They're conversion tools. So tools that we end up sticking on a website that are in addition to, say, a website form or schedule a tour form. They're little either AI tools or in-person type of chat tools that a prospect or loved one can interact with to get questions answered and to basically turn that person into a lead for the community. And there's many out there that people can take advantage of.
Can you give me, so we sort of know about chatbots. Are there other things besides that?
So there are those other tools, and I'll just, if it's okay, I'll name a couple of them. You have
Sure.
Site Staff. Site Staff is a real person chat tool. So you're actually talking with somebody that has knowledge of the senior living industry that can answer questions in real time, and then they can actually do that cold transfer over to the sales team if they have a lead that's interested in doing that. But then you have, for instance, AI chat tools like Talk Further, and that platform can basically either answer questions and can help kind of even lead nurture that person as well to see if they want to come in for a tour, if they're not ready to come in for a tour yet, basically lead nurture them for a while before that information gets transferred over to the senior living community. And then in addition to that, you have a couple other ones like Rubric that basically helps out from the standpoint of finding out what is your interests and basically kind of move in that way. And there's a couple others that do that same thing. So basically what you're interested in the senior living community, are you interested in like active activities and things like that to basically narrow down what that conversion is about.
So I noticed that when I go look at senior living communities, every 6 or 8 months, I'll just sort of I'll go into Google and do senior living near me.
Hmm.
And I'll start with sort of the map pack and I'll work through maybe 8 or 10. And it seems like almost everybody has some version of a chatbot. Do they work?
They do work. I will say that. Sage Age, so Sage Age being a marketing company, we do our own SEO. We do pay per click, so Google Ads, Bing Ads, things like that, social media advertisements. But we rely on that website and those landing pages to have additional features like those AI tools and chat tools to help get that person to who's coming there for that visit to basically convert better. And what we see is they do help. You're going to pick up a few leads of them on a monthly basis, or especially on the AI side. So, for instance, like a Talk Further, you're going to see basically interactions with that tool more so than possibly even somebody navigating around the site from time to time, which is kind of neat to see. Because again, it's just an extra tool that allows us to basically take advantage of it and basically give that prospect the tools that they want to use to basically convert.
Well, one of the things that I hear people talking a lot about, and I frankly I kind of struggle with, is that it feels like everybody's website sort of more or less the same. Just swap names out and and maybe nobody would know. I was talking to an old high school friend of mine. I went to a church boarding school my senior year, and she was telling me the story about how one year the I guess it was the seniors were gone on an all day trip, and the juniors actually took two people's rooms and swapped them out, swapped the furniture out to make them look like somebody else's room. And that's sort of what it feels like with senior living.
No, you're correct. It's funny because if you take the pretty picture away and you look at the framework behind it, so just draw a couple sketches, they're pretty much all the same. So you have the bigger image at the top, the paragraph of text, maybe a form to the right of that, maybe 3 CTAs underneath of it. But what's interesting is then take a look at that same website or all those websites on a mobile phone, and you're going to end up seeing a lot of differences, because the way there's a focus on desktop for the pretty picture, but then on a mobile phone, you have to get information up and into the right position sooner because people's interactions on a mobile phone is a little bit shorter. So we want to make sure those CTAs are higher up than, say, a pretty picture at the top, because we know the person's going to want to basically find out more so about independent living quickly and then go and convert. So it's interesting to see like a desktop. Yes, I see some similarities, but on mobile phones, I do see some differences from time to time.
And so how do I ask this question? So I know how I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna start with this differently. I'm gonna come back to where I wanted to go, but I know that was not very helpful to anybody who's watching, right? But anyway, so I have this friend, Russell Rush. I talk about him fairly frequently, who's the best salesperson I know. And one of the things that he says over and over again when he looks at senior living sales organizations is that, and this is the thing, it really his unique sauce is he does a better job of actually convincing people that they're better off living in senior living than staying at home. And I don't know that I see much of that when I look at senior living websites
Hmm.
that look at the pretty pictures and here's this list of activities and here's this we have great food and we have transportation and we have but nobody ever taught it doesn't seem like there's much storytelling about if you move in here your life is going to be a million times better.
Mm-hmm. You're you are correct. I'm with you where you don't necessarily see exactly what you just stated a second ago. You do see some of that in, say, blogs and news articles that are posted, but not necessarily in the initial copy when you get to a website. And that partially has to do a little bit with SEO and what we want to focus on. And it also depends on who that person is that's coming over to the website. So if they're a new person and they're not familiar with senior living, we have to actually first educate them on all the terminology, all the contract types, everything else that goes with senior living that's an unknown. And then from there, we can then get them more involved with some of the activities and things like that. And ultimately, where we get to the point of that senior finding out, hey, is this the right place for me? What can I be doing there? Why do I really want to live here? Usually comes down to that conversation with the sales team. So they are fantastic at selling basically the community to a senior or even the adult child, the influencer, to basically talk to their loved one about moving in. And I know firsthand experience about that. I currently have my parents living with me for the last 10 months due to them being flooded out of their house from Florida many months ago. And we've been taking them around the senior living communities, and they've been doing their own research here in Kansas City. But at the same time, I took them around, and it's interesting to look at it from their point of view, where they're using the website to basically get the education on what the terminology means, but that they are really relying on that sales team to kind of tell me the so what and what we can do to help you really move in and be more comfortable living here with.
So this is really, I love this. So as they have been looking at websites with you sort of maybe looking over their shoulder so you can learn, what are the things that they wish the websites would tell them that they're not getting?
Initially, price, number one out the get-go. I remember the first couple of searches my father did, he was just looking for pricing, simple pricing, not hidden pricing. And some of the like the chat tools, they help you find that a little bit quicker. But some of the pricing, for instance, is on, for instance, a floor plan page, which might be 2 or 3 pages deep into the website. So just trying to find that and understand what the pricing all entails, especially when it comes to like a life plan community and things like that they were looking at versus a rental model. Secondarily, it is what the amenities are. So unfortunately, at my parents' age, they want to know, hey, can I get driven somewhere? Can I get to can somebody take me to my doctor's offices and things like that? And they were having a hard time trying to find that information as well on some of the websites they were visiting as part of all this. But I would also say they did enjoy most of the websites that they went to, the ease of getting to a sales team. So mostly everybody has a phone number in the top right-hand corner, or phone numbers, or an easy way to get to a contact form so they can contact the community whenever they want. What was also very fascinating as part of their searching online and things like that is there definitely is some confusion on what is a paid search, what is a referral, like a referral ad, and what is actually an organic result. So at times my father would do a search, and next thing he knows, he's getting 10 phone calls at once from a referral service. And the only thing he wanted was pricing information from one community. So it's just an education piece on everything around senior living and what happens if you fill out one form for a referral, you're going to end up getting a lot of phone calls really, really quickly.
Well, so so are there things that senior living communities can do to minimize
The confusion.
that risk?
I think so. I mean, when Sage Age works with senior living communities, we always talk about the pricing model, like where are we going to place pricing, how easy we're going to make pricing available to a consumer when they're looking. Secondarily, the phone number, making it very simple to get the contact information for that community, especially through the website. And I will say this as well, my parents specifically was probably 80% searching on a mobile phone. So they never pulled up basically a website on a computer at all. It might have been on their tablet from time to time, but I remember my father just sitting on the sofa with his mobile phone filling out things. And I think on a mobile phone, just again, having the right information very front and center for that senior or the influencer to find really, really quickly is definitely going to be beneficial. And that information doesn't necessarily always have to be in text. Again, it could be part of a site staff chat or a Talk Further AI tool as well.
So is it, I just, as you were talking, I had this idea. You probably think this is a terrible idea or a dumb idea, but has anybody ever tried putting sort of a, I don't know, a pop-up box, like a big red warning sign that says, don't be fooled by these paid ads that promise you free referrals, and warning people away so that that doesn't happen? What do you think?
I like the idea. I think you're going to have to convince Bing and Google to kind of allow us to do that sooner or later. But because that's the issue. I mean, if you do a search right now from your own house, you're going to just see ads. Probably the first 5 to 10 listings are all going to be ads. And then even if you do a search on a Google map, same thing. Most of it's going to be ads first and foremost. So you got to pay to play when you're in the marketing agency world. And at times people just, the consumer doesn't understand that this is an ad from, for instance, that senior living community versus this is an ad from a referral service. And that's how my father learned very quickly what a referral service was. And so go ahead.
Yeah, I mean the story you told, I guess the thing that really sort of breaks my heart about it, that it makes me mad even, is that so your dad, pretty smart guy, he went and he did this, and he doesn't really need the services of a referral agency. He doesn't even want the services of a referral agency, but now there's some number of senior living communities that have his name because of what was really maybe an accident is not quite the right, an uninformed click that he made, that now obligates that senior living community, potentially, if he moves in, to thousands of dollars of fees. And that just seems unfair to me. And that's kind of why I like doing this warning thing.
No, I like the warning idea. I just don't know how to, off the top of my head, I don't know how to set something like that up. I mean, placing it on a senior living community's website isn't going to necessarily help, just because that organic search is going to show up below those listings. So how do you get control and monitor those listings a little bit better, or get some of those listing companies more involved in making it clearer of what type of services people are advertising? I think that's key to part of this.
Yeah, and it's frankly, it's my big. I mean, in some sense, when I look at what happens with, I mean, unfortunately, it's a hard truth to say, but the referral agencies, in my belief, got their feet in the door, open the floodgates, because senior living communities weren't doing the things that they should have been done to market their buildings. And that if they were really dominating their local marketplace, that it was Zach, we're gonna have to have a conversation about this, right? So if that's if that they would not do that. It's been several years since I heard it, but I heard about a senior living community. It seemed like maybe Nevada, New Mexico, Idaho, someplace, that was a nice high-end senior living community that didn't even have a website. Oh, wow. Because they so dominated they were so well known in their community that if you're going to do senior living, you'd go there unless they didn't have an empty unit. And I think that ought to be the goal, is like when somebody says senior living, oh yeah, it's my community.
Right. Yeah.
So, but that being said, my big objection is that somebody like your dad becomes party to a contract without really understanding what that means. And that seems just grossly unfair, because it could potentially limit his decision.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, but at the end of the day, on the positive, he had me. So all of a sudden, when he started getting the phone calls, I was like, what did you just do? And then I explained to him what he ended up doing, and he's very good at saying no. So when he started getting the phone calls, he basically just started saying no, not interested. I filled it out by accident, and hopefully whoever he was talking to on the other end basically just cold leaded him instantaneously from that standpoint, and let him go down the path of looking at the communities only he was interested in, and directly talking to the sales team at the community. But that is the trick. I mean, I think this is where writing and blog and SEO comes in handy as well, is writing good content for websites that kind of explains all that. So maybe, I mean, you're on a right path, Steve. I just don't know if the big, bright, red, flashing thing will work, but I think there's other tools that we can use, from either a simple social post, another video post, and things like that, to kind of explain the differences between all those services that are out there to that consumer that's just starting to investigate it themselves.
So let's talk a little bit. I want to talk both about then they're sort of related. I want to talk a little bit about video, and I want to talk a little bit about SEO. I published an article on Friday I don't think anybody will do this, but I published an article on Friday suggesting that senior living communities ought to be doing the grimace shake thing that they're doing on TikTok. Are you familiar with that?
I saw yours, so that
Yeah.
worked for me.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting. So it had pretty good views on LinkedIn, but on YouTube, where normally is YouTube mostly lives as a repository for making it easy to access live streams like this. It's been looked at a couple thousand times,
Nice.
and I just, I went to McDonald's and they didn't want me to film it inside there, so I did it in the store in the parking lot. And then Rachel did some editing on it, and Jada, who is producing the show, you can't see her, but she's got this big smile on her face because she's actually the one who told us. I had no idea, and she told us about it in a team meeting a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
So, what about video?
Video is key. As you were just talking about, and it's more so probably in the last 24 months. With platforms like TikTok, there's more and more senior living channels on TikTok these days than probably 24 months ago. But the true trick to some of it is making sure you have somebody that can make the videos. So you were just talking about the video you just made. You took it yourself. It then went to editing. It then probably was adjusted there for sound and things like that, and then finally got posted. So you have to have those type of resources to basically do the video at the community, and then from there edit it quickly and then post it in a real time, so that way you can get the views that you want and the engagement that you want from it. But video is key. I mean, the Sage Age social team, they're on TikTok and they would love us to do more TikToks, but a lot of us aren't comfortable with video. So that's the other piece of the equation of it. So you have to find that happy medium with video as to the comfort level of everybody being on video, and then just taking the video at the community as well, which at times is difficult to do. But I've seen firsthand how video, as you just saw yourself, you had thousands of views, can instantaneously get you thousands of views, more visitors, more engagement, versus just a static image. So video is something that we have to use more and more in senior living marketing.
Yeah. Can you pop that comment back up, Jada? That's a great question. I hadn't really thought about it. So
it is not against ADA guidelines. So you could have the ADA guidelines is you can't start the video with sound. So no sound, but you could have a video there without sound. And then you could also have a play stop button has to be enabled also on that video at the top. So traditionally what we find is a community or a business out there will use like a 5-second loop, and then they'll have a larger play button to play the entire video with sound and maybe a light box or another pop-up window that way.
Yeah, I think, of course, we love video. We do a couple of live stream. We do at least 2 live streams every week. I've been live streaming since on LinkedIn since about as early as they would allow it. And we do a lot of video shorts. When I'm at conferences, I shoot a lot of video shorts. And so we really love doing video, and we know we know how hard it is. And honestly, it's a lot easier for me today than it used to be. I still get a little weird when I'm just me talking to the camera. In fact, I did one last week in my backyard. I had this moment of inspiration, and then as I was doing it, I just fumbled my words. And so I'm actually going to go get it and take a transcript off of it and then rework it, because I'm just not happy with it. And so do you have thoughts on how do people get started on that?
So it's just like you described, doing it in your backyard. You just have to start doing it. Start taking the video. They're not going to be great. I'll even use myself as an example, because we've done videos at Sage Age. I think I had like 32 takes, just because I didn't like the first 31. And from there, somebody else edited it and put it all together. But I think that's the biggest trick is don't get scared of video. I mean, from a senior living community standpoint, they have tons of activities they could take a video of every single day. Somebody celebrating their birthday. There's other parties going on. Maybe it's some type of a loved one day or something like that. The community that they don't even have to take a video of themselves. They just have to take a video of the room. and then hand it off to somebody else to maybe add a music track to it real quick and post it up there for engagement. And that's pretty simple to do. It's just getting them to take the video on their phone is the first step.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's hard, and so what for, I'm going to actually, because I don't want to forget, one of the things that you might actually do is figure out if you've got somebody in your community at the local level who's already doing TikTok stuff or Instagram Reels or YouTube Reels. I'll bet you'll find somebody who's
Mhm.
doing that stuff who would love, even if they're not a marketing person, who would love to get involved in helping with that. And I mean the Grimace video that you were that I did, it was 13 seconds long. What I handed to my editor was actually to Rachel when before she fixed it was 50 seconds long. And but the other thing is I hate looking at my own videos, so I'm really glad I have somebody else who can edit it because I'm my worst critic.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's nice at Sage Age, they could hand the video to even us and we would edit it down to get it into the right format. And then with our social media team, we would post it out there for them as well.
Yeah. So let's talk more broadly about SEO
Mhm. So
and how
SEO
important.
is like the necessary evil. It's kind of like paid advertising is a necessary evil as well. But SEO is like the long-term game plan for any website. You have to consistently adjust copy, add copy, make sure your website's technically sound from the standpoint of an SEO standpoint. To basically get the rankings up. How many keywords do you have? What are you ranking for versus what do you really need to be ranking for? Those are two different things. So the community may want to be ranking for a word that basically has no meaning in senior living or no meaning to Google or Bing, but we have to put in a different word to the way that somebody is searching. And this recently came up with a bunch of communities because it was around the word active. So active senior living. And if we ended up removing, the question was, can we remove the word active? And how many times can we remove that without it taking an SEO hit? And so that's the trick with some of this is just having some knowledge around SEO, what keywords are being tracked today, how are seniors looking today, and just making sure those keywords are within the website at certain specific locations to get those rankings up. But it's a constant play. It's a monthly play of adjusting and reviewing keywords to see if we're consistently ranking month over month.
So what are the hot keywords right now?
They're the same ones as always: independent living, retirement living, senior living, memory care, dementia care, Alzheimer's care. Those are probably the main ones to basically get within your website. The word active in front of some of those, active senior living, basically comes up as well from time to time in different marketplaces. But the main ones that I just rambled off are the primary ones outside of anything else. And what is also very, very interesting is you then have like secondary keywords at times that pop up. So pets in senior living, animals in senior living, things like that are part of that interest group of, hey, I'm going to go move into a senior living community. I need to make sure that what my interests are matching theirs as well. So you have to get those added in there. And you can do those on some of the main pages or consistently put them in blogs and things like that and have a very specific, great blog that's keyword rich from a senior living and pet standpoint, or senior living and dining and things like that as well.
So how often should a community blog?
We blog for our communities at a minimum once a month, depending on the size of the communities, upwards of twice a month. But on average, it is a once a month thing that we do for senior living communities. The SEO team will find the topics that are relevant to that community using tools like SEMrush and other tools that we have on hand. And then from there, we write a specific keyword rich topic and post that out there. And then we'll boost it as well, meaning that we'll put it on Facebook, put some money behind it to get it out further outside of their initial read base to see if we can get any additional prospects to read it as well.
Talk to me a little bit about AI and what role AI is playing today, and what role it's going to play in terms of things like creating blogs.
So we are using AI today to research blog topics. That is something Sage Age is doing, and I make a bet a lot of other marketing agencies are doing as well. It's not the idea that the AI is going to write the blog topic 100% correctly for you the first time. It's going to be missing some of that feel good language that everybody wants to read in a blog. But at the same time, the blog, the AI tool can help consolidate and get all that blogging information into a nice medium that you can then edit down and things like that. And you can even use it for, say, just normal website copy as well. Just a starting point of, I don't know, give me a new topic like independent living in the summertime in Chicago. And so you can use that as, say, a starting point. And then from there, put it into an AI tool like Bard to pull out just some initial research and then give it to a writer to kind of formulate and add in the rest of the keywords that are missing.
Leave that comment up for a minute, Jada. I'm going to add to what you say. So I just this morning, one of our partners asked us to suggest some topics for a blog for the next couple of months, and I had a couple that were on the top of my head, but I went to ChatGPT and asked it to give me some new titles. I ultimately didn't use any of them, but they became inspiration, and I was able to give them 6 much more targeted ones that I would have gotten from ChatGPT, and it just made it faster and easier. So it was really good.
Yeah,
so I would love to.
That's the goal. Yeah, just quick and helps you out quickly. It gives you that initial information, and then you can go writing from there.
Yep. So this good question. And I think this is a problem that a lot of communities have, getting low-income housing inquiries in response to PPC ads.
Yep. So
Is there a
Paul,
way to
yeah,
keep
so
those
there's a
down?
way to kind of, because he puts in here, they're embedding negative keywords. So that's definitely a good option to start with. The other options that you can look into is cross-reference your direct mail list that hopefully is age, income qualified, those zip codes, with where you're targeting for either Google or Bing, to make sure that the neighborhoods you're targeting are of the age and income qualified that you're looking for. At the same time, make sure you have starting at pricing within the ads themselves. I know they're responsive ads, but you should be able to add that starting at pricing within the description on some of those ads, and or place a starting at pricing on the landing page as well. Again, pricing is key. People are looking for that. So even if they clicked on the ad and made it over to the landing page and it had a starting at price of X, they'll know instantaneously if they can afford it or not. And from there, they'll either choose to call or convert if they can afford that cost.
Do you see any movement on this whole pricing issue? It's the thing that drives me crazy about websites. I know that there's sort of this idea that pricing is complicated. We want to be able to explain it, and yet if I'm searching for anything, I don't care what it is I'm thinking about buying. First thing I look for is price, and if I can't find it, I just keep moving on. Are we getting there?
Yeah, I think you are correct. I mean, as I was talking about my father, him trying to find the pricing was difficult at times for some of the communities he was looking for in Kansas City. But there's other good communities out there that are building tools like a financial fit calculator, as an example, where you plug in your income that you're going to have, and it spits out, hey, these are the floor plans that you qualify for in the pricing. So there are communities that are starting to make pricing more on the front end, and basically give the consumer tools that they can go calculate what I can afford at that community versus it being an unknown.
The other tool I wish I would see on somebody's website is a how to figure out what kind of senior living I need tool.
So that's more like a rubric, or what is the other one? There's another one that does it similar as what's my match? But there are cool tools out there that allow you to do that type of information.
Yeah, and I'm not sure whether to me it seems like, I mean, I guess I know there are a couple tools out there. I don't know if they've gotten great traction because I think they maybe don't necessarily help you actually pull leads in as well as you'd like. But to me, this idea that how do you ultimately sell is you buy help, you become the trusted resource, you become helpful to your prospects.
Right.
It seems like even if you have a list on your website of this is what independent living is, this is what assisted living is, this is what memory care is, this is what life plan is, this is what nursing, it doesn't necessarily, I think for a lot of people, We know, but I think for a lot of consumers, they really don't know. Well, I don't know where I fall, and helping with that would seem like something that could be very
Yeah,
valuable.
I think that's some of those tools. I wish I could remember the name of the other one I was trying to remember, but some of those tools do help out with that. But again, this is also the downside of how those tools work. Sometimes they're hidden on a website, so they're not front and center,
Yeah.
where somebody can easily interact with it and just see if it is the right community for them. So hence a lot of seniors just wanting to have a conversation with the sales team to find out what else I'm missing from reading the website, and is this the right community for me?
Yeah, well, one of the things you've got me inspired to go do when we get off this is I want to go back and look at sites now, and I want to see how many people actually have, like, on the top menu a button that says pricing,
Hmm.
because that's what I like best when I'm looking for other things, and it just helps me decide whether this is worth looking at or
Right.
not. So I'm guessing hardly anybody does.
Uh,
So.
yeah, you're probably correct. There's probably about 20% that it makes it that apparent.
Yeah. So, Sean, we are about out of time. I want to say thank you very much for joining us today. If you guys are struggling with your marketing, with your website, with your other marketing stuff, you ought to reach out and talk to Sage Age, talk to Sean. You've got a question, call them up. I don't know whether I'm making that promise for you
Well,
that
you
you don't
you
like,
can
but
you do it. You call me up.
no, I do it. I do it. I do it. But if you just need, you're thinking, I wonder, and and I don't know who to call Sean. And send him a message through. You've got his email there, and ask him, and he will help you be better at what you're doing. And if you are struggling and saying, I'm not sure I love my marketing agency right now, I'm gonna go give them a call and see what they can do for me.
Thank you for the
So with that,
compliment, Steve.
Sean, have a great, great weekend. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I will see a lot of you on Friday for Foresight TV.